I'm Michael Bakich, Senior Editor and Photo Editor at Astronomy Magazine. Welcome to my little corner of the universe. In this video, I've kind of prepared a top 10 list for beginning moon watchers. So let's get right into it. Number 10. Start without optics. What I mean by that is don't use a telescope when you first go out and look at the moon. Just maybe have a simple moon map with you and try to identify the moon's dark, large features. Early observers called them seas because they thought they were vast water-filled oceans. Today we know that early in the moon's history, lava filled those areas. That's why they appear dark. So learn maybe half a dozen of those, then move to binoculars or a telescope and start picking out the largest, brightest craters. So start without optics. Number 9. The full moon is just for romance. What I mean by that is, and I can illustrate it kind of here, let's imagine this is the moon, I'm the Earth, the sun is then behind me. The sun's rays are striking the full moon directly, and there are no shadow details. Everything is noon, so to speak. So the least amount of detail happens during full moon, and that's the time when you should avoid looking at it. Number 8, I call prime time. And in fact, there are 2 prime times to observe the moon during each of the lunar months. A lunar month is from one new moon to the next new moon. The first prime time is in the evening sky. It starts as soon as you can see the thin crescent low in the western sky after sunset, and it continues to about 2 days past first quarter. The other prime time is in the morning sky. It starts 2 days before last quarter and continues until the moon becomes invisible because of the sun's glare. Those are the best times to observe the moon. Now, most observers, true, observe the moon in the evening. It's just easier, we might have to work the next day, who knows what's going on. But if you want to go out in the morning, there is an advantage. After an evening, a night of cooling, the atmosphere generally is steadier in the morning than it is in the evening. So you'll actually get a slightly better look, not just at the moon, but at anything you look at before sunrise than after sunset. Number 7. This sounds like the name for a bad science fiction movie. Target the Terminator. Astronomers call the Terminator the line that divides the light area of the moon from the dark area of the moon. The only time there's no Terminator is at full moon. The Terminator before full moon is where sunrise is happening. After full moon, that's where sunset is occurring. The sunrise and sunset line, the Terminator, is when the sun angle is the greatest, and that's when you'll see the most detail. You can see mountain peaks with vast regions of darkness below them. There are a lot of cool details to see along the Terminator, and that's where the shadows are sharpest. Number 6, ta-da! The best telescope to observe the moon is, sorry, any telescope will give you a great view of the moon. A handheld 2-inch telescope will give you a great view of lunar features. Now that said, each time you go up as far as telescope size, you'll see something smaller and more detailed on the surface of the moon. So I'm not saying that you have to observe with the smallest possible telescopes. In fact, quite the opposite. You'll often want a large telescope to observe some of the finer details on the moon. Number 5, cut down the moonlight. The moon is the nearest object to Earth. It reflects a lot of sunlight, so it's really, really bright. And your eye can get tired really quickly observing the moon because you're looking at such a bright object. So there are some tricks that amateur astronomers use to cut down the moonlight. One of them is called a neutral density filter. It's just a little glass, grayish filter that cuts out 50, 70, even 90% of the light that would want to travel through it. And so it makes the moon appear darker. But since there's so much light, it looks really good to you through a telescope. The other way to cut down moonlight is to use what's called an aperture mask. Okay, let's say the aperture, the size of your telescope is this big, however big that is. What you want to do, rather than let that moonlight come through the whole telescope, make a cardboard cutout that fits in the front of your telescope and cut a 1-inch hole in it. So essentially you've turned this telescope into just a 1-inch telescope. However, because we're talking about the moon, a lot of light will still get through, but not so much that it will essentially blind you when you're observing it. Okay, tip number 4, turn on your best vision. What I mean by this is that the eye functions in 2 ways, in daylight and at night. Night vision is good for picking out faint objects. You know, if you're looking through a telescope and you're trying to pick out a faint galaxy, night vision's great for that, but it doesn't allow you to see color, and it's not real good on detail. To turn on your night vision when you're looking at the moon, turn on a light behind you, a white light, a porch light, a yard light, something like that. Now don't have it, you know, shining directly in your eye. Have it behind you to light up your surroundings. That will trigger your eye's daytime vision, and believe it or not, you'll get a better view when you observe the moon. Okay, number 3, work off a list. You can certainly observe the many features of the moon. However, it's kind of cool to check off a list of some of the best features. And the best list, in my estimation, comes from the Astronomical League. They have a series of observing clubs, and one is their Lunar Observing Club. In fact, if you're a member of the League and you complete this list, you'll actually get a certificate from them. But nonetheless, you can go to their website, www.astroleague.org, and download the list of 100 objects, items on the moon that you can look at. And it's a great way to learn the lunar features. Number 2, dig for the details. Our side of the moon, the near side that always faces us, contains more than 1,800 named features. More than 1,500 of those are craters. So what you want to do is, you've done your survey of the moon, go back, look at some of those areas again with higher magnification and even higher magnification until you're using an eyepiece that magnifies so much that the atmosphere starts to degrade your image, and then back off a little bit. What you're looking for is the finest detail, the smallest, let's say, crater that you can see in a certain area. Dig for the details when you observe the moon. And the number 1 tip, shoot the moon. Okay? This is the digital age of cameras. It costs no more to take 100 pictures of the moon than it does to take 1 picture of the moon. So figure out a way to attach your camera to your telescope. There are many dealers that sell adapters for different cameras to different telescopes. Shoot the moon. Because the moon is so bright, it's really easy to take a picture of it. Now that said, it's not so easy to take a great picture of it. And that's because the features of the moon are all fairly low contrast. It's not like you're trying to take a picture of a Christmas tree with lights. Dark area, ooh, there's a light. Dark area, ooh, there's another light. The moon isn't like that. The moon is all low contrast features. And so when you shoot it, set your camera at every setting that you have. Take a picture, you know, change the f-stop, change the exposure, change the ISO speed rating, change all those things, take a bunch of pictures, look through all of them, maybe pick out the best 1 or 2, and if you get a couple that you're happy with, send them to me here at the magazine. You can send them to Reader Gallery at astronomy.com. and they'll come right to my inbox. You never know. You might get one published in the magazine, or it may be the picture of the day on our popular website. I'm Michael Bakich. Thanks for visiting my little corner of the universe.